Hello and welcome to a new week on Granada Reports.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
Why would anyone do this to him? The parents of a 14-year-old who died in a stabbing paid tribute to their son. We'll have the latest on the investigation.
Calls for the regulation of children's combat sports as an inquest opens into the death of a teenage kickboxer.
Guess what's coming to Manchester? Here's a clue. More later in the programme.
Mixed fortunes at Wembley in the rugby, but it's Wigan Warriors who've brought home the silverware from the Women's Challenge Cup final.
We've never seen them before and obviously it's so special.
A royal tradition continues. Why the King takes part in a ceremony of the keys at Lancaster Castle.
And from Wednesday and into Thursday, we'll see a pull of very warm air from the south. Find out what that means for us here in the northwest in the weather forecast later on in the programme.
But first tonight, the grief of a family and the shock of a community after a 14-year-old boy died following a stabbing in Manchester. Ibrahim Asek died from his injuries in hospital.
His parents visited the scene in New Moston earlier before releasing a statement asking why would anyone do this to him. Well, 5 people have been arrested, 4 of them teenagers.
Jennifer Book is at the scene for us tonight with the latest. Jennifer.
Well, flowers and tributes have been building up here all day for 14-year-old Ibrahim Asek, who was stabbed just near to the Fairway Inn pub here in New Moston yesterday. This has become a real focal point for the community's grief. We've seen school friends coming in groups this afternoon to lay flowers and simply sit here to share memories of their friend. Earlier on, Ibrahim's family came here. Their emotion was obvious as they laid flowers and left a photograph of their son. Their family have described him as funny, caring and hard-working. One of his parents saying the killer has killed 2 people, myself and my son. Why would anyone do this? Police were called here to the scene at around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It was Ibrahim himself who raised the alarm as he rushed to a nearby house. He was taken to hospital, but he later died from his injuries. Now, today we can tell you that 5 arrests have been made, 2 14-year-old boys and 1 16-year-old boy held on suspicion of murder. A 14-year-old girl and a 37-year-old woman have been arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender. Now, the police say this stabbing has shocked and saddened this whole community, but they're stressing this is still very much a live investigation. This stabbing took place near to a main road on a Sunday afternoon, and police want anybody who saw anything to get in contact.
Jennifer Book in New Boston for us tonight. Thank you.
Well, next tonight, a calls for better regulation of combat sports for children. It comes after the death of Alex Eastwood, a 15-year-old kickboxer from Liverpool who received a head injury during a fight.
An inquest into his death opened today, but the coroner has already written to the government to raise his concerns over the system.
Anna Yosef is at Bolton Coroner's Court for us this evening. Anna.
Yes, this is a very upsetting case and one which raises a lot of questions about the safety of children taking part in martial arts. Alex Eastwood was 10 when he started kickboxing. By the age of 15, he was a 5-time world champion. At his inquest today, the court heard how he had ambitions to become a professional kickboxer. But in June of last year, he took part in what's called a light contact bout at a gym in Wigan. It was actually a fundraiser to pay for another child to go to the World Championships. Alex had already secured his place. As usual, Alex wore his full safety gear, but after fighting 3 rounds, his parents realised something had gone horribly wrong. His father, Stephen, told the inquest that when the fight ended, Alex walked to the ropes and started punching thin air. He then described jumping into the ring and noticing that his son's breathing was raspy and laboured, and he lay him on the floor. He then shouted out for the 2 first aiders to give him oxygen, which in his opinion there was a delay in doing so. Paramedics arrived and Alex was taken to hospital in Wigan. He was then transferred to the Children's Hospital in Manchester after it was found that he had a bleed on the brain. He died 3 days later. Stephen Eastwood told the inquest that it was only in the months after his son's death that the family were told that the fight had actually been unsanctioned, which means it wasn't officially recognised by a governing body and there were no safeguards or regulations in place. The inquest heard that these types of fights are actually very common. They're sometimes known as fight nights or exhibition nights, and they take place up and down the country. Now, as you've already mentioned, the coroner took the very unusual step of issuing a prevention of future deaths report in this case ahead of the inquest. And that's because he believes that the current system poses a real risk to children's safety. The inquest continues tomorrow.
Anna Youssef at Bolton Coroner's Court. Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And a court's heard claims a violent, jealous and controlling husband stabbed his wife to death as she pushed their baby in a pram, tracing her to a hostel where she was staying to escape him. Prosecutors said 26-year-old Habiba Masoom launched a ferocious and deadly knife attack on 27-year-old Kulsuma Akhtar, a social worker at Oldham Council. Masoom denies murdering Miss Akhtar but has pleaded guilty to manslaughter and possession of a knife. The trial at Bradford Crown Court continues.
The latest images have been released for Morecambe's Eden project. The revised design is said to make the most of the resources available to build it. The attraction, which was originally intended to be completed next year, is now expected to be open in late 2028.
And fans who went to see Bruce Springsteen at Anfield at the weekend got a surprise Beatles bonus.
Let's bring out Sir Paul McCartney.
The musical legend that is Sir Paul McCartney appeared out of the blue to perform 2 songs with Springsteen on the stage. The American described Sir Paul as one of his all-time musical heroes.
How good is that? Having 2 legends on stage at the same time. Unbelievable. Incredible. Well, from one bit of musical history to another. And yes, it's been revealed that the Brit Awards are to be held here in Manchester for the very first time.
Yeah, for the last 4 decades, the biggest night of the UK music industry calendar has taken place in London. But next year, the ceremony moves to the Co-op Live, Europe's biggest indoor arena.
Victoria Grimes reports on the latest big boon to the region.
And the Brit Award goes to...
It's one of the most famous events in music, honouring the world's biggest stars and creating some of the most talked about moments in pop history. And now it's heading to Manchester.
Yolanda, why Manchester?
I think it's really important that award shows like the Brits are travelling around the country. We're celebrating British music, and so we need to be all throughout Britain. And I think coming outside of London, into the region, into a place that has such a wealth and history and legacy of great music, as well as the future of music as well, it just feels right. And I know being here, hopefully some artists where this is their hometown, it would be amazing for them to be a part of the show.
Can I put a request in?
Yes.
Can we ask Take That to do it, please?
I'll do it, yeah. I'll do it.
Thanks, Yolanda. Have a word.
Hopefully they should, I will.
Have a word.
Some of that homegrown talent is already looking forward to it.
We've just got a little kind of flavour, a little kind of sauce that nowhere else has got, really. But yeah, amazing, bro. It's in my back garden, you know what I mean? So I can't complain. I can walk home after that night.
It's not the first time the city's been in the spotlight with global events. In 2023, Chanel brought their world-famous fashion show to the Northern Quarter. And last year, Co-op Live hosted the European Music Awards, proving the city has more than got what it takes to be centre stage.
It's a global event, so the eyes of the world will be on us, and we're ready for the eyes of the world to be on us. The Brits in Manchester is going to be brilliant for our economy, but it's also going to be fantastic for musicians in the city region right now. And you know, I look back on it all, and I remember growing up here and all the bands of the 80s, and we used to watch Granada reports, and the great Tony Wilson would just put a band on at the end of the news because he was just relentlessly promoting the music of this place. And I kind of see it as part of my job to carry on doing something of the same. And I don't think any of this would have happened, actually, were it not for Tony and the amazing legacy he left in this city.
Well, for the last 47 years, the Brits have been held in London, but next February they will be right here at Co-op Live, and then again in February 2027. So This guy is definitely going to become a Manchester regular.
What we have here at Co-op Live is a state-of-the-art venue. It's got world-class acoustics. Every artist who's playing here now comes off stage and says it's just the most amazing venue for them to play.
In just a few months' time, the arena will be packed with some of the biggest names in music. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Manchester.
It's what a great boost to get the Brits coming up to the region. However, when I watched last year's one, I didn't know who half the acts were. I think I've got to that age now where I'm just like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah,
we know Spice Girls in there. So
yeah, we know Bruce, we know Macca.
Exactly, that's where we're at. Right, coming up on the national news at 6:30, Martin Stewart's on location with special coverage about a changing climate and what's being done for the future.
As the world moves ever closer to irreversible climate change, I'm in Antarctica witnessing the impact firsthand. The oceans are warming, the ice is melting, and sea levels are rising. Thousands of miles away in the Bahamas, the islands are one of the first to deal with the consequences. So what can be done? Is it already too late? World leaders are in Nice to try to find solutions for the future of our planet. Join me and Mary for that special programme plus the rest of the day's news at 6:30.
Well, next tonight, we want to find the most fantastic fundraisers to represent our region at this year's Pride of Britain Awards, and we need your help.
Yes, if you know of someone who goes the extra mile for a special cause, it doesn't matter how big or small, they could be Granada's next fundraiser of the year. You can nominate individuals or groups, and we'll be sending one person plus their guests to London to represent our region, where they'll be in with a chance of being named the ITV Fundraiser of the Year.
Yeah, we had some fantastic entries last year. Here's Andy Bonner with the details.
Get ready for a very special night.
The Pride of Britain Awards is a national institution. Now in its 26th year, it's an annual event celebrating the bravery and brilliance of those who display true grit and determination. ITV regional news programmes have played a big part in Pride of Britain, helping to find those amazing fundraisers who make an incredible difference in their communities. And now we're looking for our next champions, people who go that extra mile to raise money for a special cause. You can nominate an individual or a group of people, and with a special insight into what we're looking for, here's one of the Pride of Britain judges, ITV's very own Ben Shepherd.
I think the things that are hugely important is finding someone who is absolutely invested in their community, that has gone above and beyond for the people around them, without doubt has put themselves in a position where they've created an extraordinary movement with the charity endeavour that they've done, and really just because they have a huge passion for the people around them, the community they live in, they have done everything they can to try and change the lives of those people that they live alongside.
So do you know someone who fits the bill and deserves recognition? All you have to do to nominate them is go to itv.com/Pride of Britain. That's all one word. You can nominate individuals or groups of people, but only one person and their guest can represent the region at the Pride of Britain Awards in London. Nominees must be aged 18 or over and be available to be filmed and have their fundraising story told on Granada Reports. If you're under the age of 18, please get permission from a parent or guardian before you nominate. Nominations are now open and close at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday the 10th of August. A full list of terms and conditions can be found at itv.com.
Yes, please do get in touch and nominate. Now to a weekend of mixed fortunes at Wembley for our rugby league teams. There was heartbreak for Warrington Wolves, who lost the Challenge Cup final for the second year running. Hull KR scoring the winning try 3 minutes from full time to win by 8 points to 6.
But there was glory for Wigan Warriors, who beat arch-rival St Helens to win the women's final. They scored 7 tries to win by 42 points to 6 and lift the trophy for their first time in their history. And today, 2 of their cup heroes brought the trophy into the studio and spoke to Chris Hall.
Congratulations, Wigan Rugby's first ever Women's Challenge Cup victory. Tell me about the whole experience, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great experience, you know. All week everyone's just been saying just embrace every moment that you get. You know, not everyone gets the opportunity to play at Wembley and walk out at Wembley. And I think, you know, for me, especially sort of coming towards the back end of my career, you know, it was something that I only ever dreamed of.
I'm fascinated by the psychology of it right from the start. You were telling me that you switched mascots in the tunnel.
We did, yes. Right. As we got outside, we realised that the mascot I had was taller than me, and obviously Meg's a lot taller than me, so I was going, you two switch places quickly.
And Megan, you got them off to a flyer as well with Wigan's first ever try in a Women's Challenge Cup final. What was that moment like for you?
Honestly, it was like, there's just no words. There's just no words. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. Like, my dad's texted me, well, before, and he said to me, like, you're going to have a great game, and I have a feeling you're going to score under the sticks. And I was like, Dad, don't get in my head. Like, I just want to play the game, and we just want to work our hardest. But honestly, when I got through the line, I was like, oh my God. And I just looked at my mates, and everyone was just so, it was just pure joy. I loved every second of playing that game, and every second after it.
Well, yeah, tell me about the celebrations. Have they stopped yet?
Just about, yeah, just about recovered. No, it was great. You know, the girls deserved it. They've obviously worked so hard for it. It's been a good few days.
And you stopped off at a pub in Coventry in the middle of nowhere, halfway home, and started taking this trophy round a restaurant. Is that right? Yeah,
we did. Yeah. We just wanted, you know, to share the joy with everyone. You know, I think some of the girls were literally passing it around all the tables. People were just trying to eat the food, and we were just, we were just so excited. We just wanted to show them the trophy.
How much of your success so far is down to your head coach, Dennis Betts, who rugby league fans will know as a bit of a Wigan legend who's won the Challenge Cup with the men's team many times? How much of the success is down to him?
He only reminds us of that a few times a day. You know, Dennis is a great guy, like you say. You know, he's a Wigan legend. Everyone that knows rugby league knows Dennis Betts, and I think the impact of obviously all the knowledge that he has playing the game has been a massive impact on the girls. But you know, he's more than just a coach to the girls. He's like a father figure to them.
And a good TikTok dancer as well. He doesn't need any encouragement, does he, to get involved?
No, he acts all shy. Go, oh, no, not doing it. And, like, I'll ask him twice. Oh, OK, then. Here we go, like...
So now you've got one trophy. There's two more up for grabs in the League Leaders' Shield and Super League. You're top of Super League at the moment. What do we think? Could you emulate what the men's team did last year and win the lot this year?
Well, that's the aim. That's what we're going to go for. I mean, we're just on a momentum at the minute. We've got such good momentum, and we're going to look to keep that. I think we made like a bet to Dennis, like if we do like go and win them all, and you know, keep that, he's going to get like a tattoo or something. I don't even remember the full thing. I don't think any of us was.
He knew what he
I don't think he knew what he agrees to. You know?
Well, huge congratulations once again, and good luck for the rest of the season. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, they did so well, didn't they? And Dennis has the moves.
He can bust a move, can't he? There we go. Well done to Wigan Warriors. Well, next, the hundreds of people who've united in support of the former footballer Stephen Darby.
Yeah, Stephen, who played for Liverpool, Rochdale and Bolton Wanderers, has motor neuron disease.
Well, fundraisers, including Stephen's wife, the former England and Manchester City captain Steph Houghton, took on a gruelling walk for the MND cause.
And Mike Hall caught up with them.
This was no ordinary weekend stroll. The 156-mile route started in West Yorkshire before crossing the Pennines. More than 230 people joining forces in the fight against motor neuron disease, which 7 years ago changed Stephen Darby's life forever. Today, his wife and family led the march to find a cure.
When so many people get involved in an event to support you and Stephen, what does it mean to you both?
It means the world. I mean, sometimes it's hard to really keep up with what people are doing for us, and for not just for us as a foundation, but for the MND community, and trying to raise as much money as possible. So for me to be able to do this with the rest of the family, it's super special, and we can't thank everybody enough, to be honest.
As this tour of grassroots football clubs arrived in Altrincham, walkers had the chance to refuel and meet the man himself. Stephen now uses a wheelchair and struggles to talk, but he was never going to miss this.
There's lots of support out there, lots of people going through the same thing, so you walk with people who are going through the same thing or who've been through things in the past, and it's good to talk about those things, so you know it certainly does help.
This was a poignant pit stop. Altrincham has a heartbreaking history of MND.
The 2005 team, where we got promoted, from that one squad of 16, 2 lads have died from this disease.
Mark Maddox died at 50 years of age. George Melling, 37.
Hopefully we do things like this to just so we don't forget them. They are the past, if you like, but that doesn't matter. We still got to remember them.
We've been trying to emulate the hard work that Rob Burrow and Kevin Sinfield and Doddy Weir have done in the rugby field, and to try and get football to recognise MND in the same way and support one of their own in Stephen.
Since the launch of his foundation 6 years ago, Stephen has led the fundraising, from football matches to parachute jumps. He remains the driving force today, though life is becoming more challenging.
We're okay. I'm not going to say that it's all good, because it's not. Everything's changing every single day, and that's what happens with this condition. It's forever a challenge. Not one day is exactly the same, and we've had a lot of change, especially in the last year, which has been quite tough. Obviously, Stephen uses a wheelchair. He relies on a lot of care at this moment in time. So for me as a wife, it's trying to find that balance of being a carer and a wife. But I think we've always had that attitude of let's stay positive as much as we possibly can, and we need to try and raise as much money, because ultimately we want to try and find that cure. We want to help as many people as we possibly can.
Stephen's supporters hope to raise £30,000 from this walk. They'll keep fighting in his name until a breakthrough comes. Mike Hall, ITV News, Altrincham.
We wish Stephen and Steph all the best, and if you'd like to find out how you can donate to Stephen's charity, all the details are on our website. Now, the Isle of Man is getting back to normal after a fortnight of racing at the TT.
Yeah, it's been a hugely successful year for the island's iconic event, and you can watch a special report on our streaming service ITVX. Just go to the news category and choose Granada. Now, there's been a royal visit to the region today as the King arrived in Lancaster.
Yeah, King Charles holds the title of Duke of Lancaster, and today he was given the keys to the city's historic castle.
Yeah, after a special ceremony, he met representatives from local businesses before joining a reception with a number of local organisations.
And some had gathered from as early as 5 in the morning to catch a glimpse of His Royal Highness. And our reporter Emma Sweeney was with the crowd as the King arrived.
It's not every day the King of the Castle comes to town, so for some, today's royal visit was simply not to be missed.
It's a beautiful celebration, and just being on the doorstep to witness something like the King, I think it's quite great, yeah.
I just thought it was nice to come and see King Charles, yeah, it was a good day to come. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
And it's just been so special, because we've never seen him before, and obviously he's so special.
Shortly after arriving, His Majesty, who was also the Duke of Lancaster, was presented with the keys to the castle, a tradition for visiting monarchs dating back to 1851. Local school children lined his route inside, where he was met with workers from local businesses and organisations, all keen to showcase their work and celebrate the city's communities. Cheese, said the King.
Incredibly good on a digestive biscuit.
Well, this castle has been in royal hands for hundreds of years. Originally a Roman site, it's been used as a royal fortress, a court and a prison. Nowadays, it's more used as a heritage centre. Today, His Majesty met with some of the young apprentices helping to preserve the site. He also met with Richard Brock, a 101-year-old World War II veteran. The King suggested he should keep drinking whiskey before remarking,
"What are we going to do with that, George Henry? I don't know."
Today's visit was accompanied by plenty of music. A Fijian choir formed from the 1st Battalion of the Duke of Lancaster's regiment gave a performance fit for a king. Not everyone was so pleased to see the King today, but both monarchists and anti-monarchists alike stood side by side for what was His Majesty's first official visit since taking the throne. Emma Sweeney, ITV News, Lancashire.
There we go. We've had the King's orders. We all need to have whiskey and some cheese and digestives.
Cheese and digestives, that's controversial. Just chocolate digestives, surely.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, let's get the weather now. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. An unsettled week ahead weather-wise, with humidity and temperatures on the rise, but so too the threat of thundery downpours from midweek onwards, and especially into this weekend. A plume of very warm air moving up from the southern continent as the jet stream shifts position, giving temperatures quite widely across the UK, well above average for the time of year. But the threat of heavy thundery downpours also moves up Friday into the weekend, and some of these will be rather heavy for our part of the world. Back to this evening's details. It's fresh and rather damp over the next few hours, with a spell of rain moving in, some of it rather heavy. As we approach midnight and beyond, it's beginning to move eastwards over the Pennines and away, but it will leave behind a legacy of low cloud, murky, damp conditions, and a mild night, 11 or 12 Celsius, remaining quite breezy and cloudy for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man as we start the day tomorrow. The sun will be up tomorrow morning at 4:41. It sets at 9:40 tomorrow evening. And for most of us tomorrow, it should be a brighter day. Certainly brightening up as we go through the morning, the odd shower tending to die away. And through the afternoon, plenty of bright, sunny weather on offer. A little bit of a breeze for the northwest. But if you're in some shelter tomorrow afternoon, it could get to around 18 Celsius and feel quite pleasant, with lots of sunshine through tomorrow evening to round off the day. Temperatures are on the rise. Wednesday beginning to feel quite warm, up to around 24 or 25 Celsius. The threat of a few heavy downpours, perhaps thundery, into Thursday. That's an unsettled day, and so too Friday. And into the weekend, thunderstorms and humidity are on the rise. Very unsettled.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Humidity is on the rise over the next few days or so, and the grass pollen season is gaining momentum. So levels across the northwest as we head through this week will either be high or very high. Bye-bye.
Well, that is all from us tonight. We're off to have some whiskey, cheese and digestives by the King's orders.
I've got to swap out the whiskey for Bailey's.
I'll be back with a late update at 10. Until then, bye-bye.
Good night.